Hello, and welcome back to Still Live Podcast. I'm Sarah,
And Mike.
and we are here for one of the most crucial discussions when it comes to video game life, and that is
Game integrity.
get good.
Get good. The
Get
get good
good.
culture.
Yeah, video game integrity, get good culture. So, we kind of stumbled upon this a couple of times, actually. This is sort of an idea that was brewing because I was watching you play Ghost of Tsushima the one day.
Tsushima.
And I remember you were making some complaints about, being shoehorned into doing certain things, even though you wanted to go exploring.
Yeah.
And then I had to do a review of Donkey Kong Country Tropic Freeze, and I was not balking at the difficulty, but I was happy that I was able to blast through the review because I'm being a little out of practice with some platformers. It was taking me a little bit, and I wanted to make sure, well, when you have a time crunch, you will have to get up a review in a few days. It's not like this is a pressing review, but I only had a time limit. So in order to get through it, I needed to push it down in difficulty so I could actually play a couple levels and get some good screenshots.
The joys of reviewing video games. You don't even get a chance to sit and enjoy it, really, right?
Yeah, it kind of sucks. Anybody who wants to be a video game reviewer, keep that in mind. Sometimes it sucks.
The second playthrough is where you get all your value.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I got to actually go back and get some additional screenshots for later because I was like, oh, maybe I'll enjoy this a little bit more, slap in some fresh screenshots because the ones I got weren't that great. I want to, mess them up a little bit. And I was like, ooh, this is actually pretty fun. It's really hard, but it's fun. But the fact that it has several modes, and it just kind of reminded me of this thing about video game integrity and what it is to be a gamer and what a quote true gamer quote would define as what a video game or a video gamer is. So
you could only be a true gamer if you destroy your soul playing a video game.
Yeah, you have to experience it on the hardest level ever and complete every little part of the game and find every little thing and do every side quest and a God mode type. And if you don't do that, why even bother being a gamer? How
Game
dare.
shouldn't even have an easy mode.
No, if you can't do it, don't play. Get good. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Sarah's a bro. Back from her frat days in college.
Get good. It's so dumb. It's like
he's slamming a Mountain Dew as she speaks.
No, I don't like the whole concept of that. Is just like it's so gatekeepery. It's just dirty. I hate it. Like why? Why do you like? I feel it exists to keep people in a box.
You just wait until Luke falls off that first ledge in Mario. Oh, he's getting it.
Oh yeah. How dare you? Go sit in the corner.
4 minutes in the corner, Luke.
We don't lose Marios in this house.
You sacrifice Yoshi. You don't fall. Yoshi falls.
That's right. Right into the pit.
That's what a real gamer does. Wait, no. Real gamers don't play Nintendo now.
Oh yeah, no. How dare you? How dare you suggest that? I don't care if it's a legacy brand, that basically helped build video games as they were today. Who cares? No, it's not Dark Souls. It's not Skyrim.
I think they should make a Mario in the Dark Souls universe. Mario.
Yeah, no.
It's kind of like Luigi's Mansion, right?
You know what? Actually, crossing genres reminds me of a Robot Chicken skit. There's a Robot Chicken skit with Mario Kart, and Mario and Luigi take the wrong turn and go to Grand Theft Auto. And Yoshi follows the same road later, and he takes the right turn to Raccoon City.
Oh, God.
It's so dark. But yeah, this is why we don't cross genres.
That sounds amazing, actually.
No, when you get spooky Mario, you get Luigi's Mansion, and that's as spooky as it gets. You do not get zombies eating Yoshi.
Yet.
So
Nintendo getting a little edgy, though. Have you seen the new Animal Crossing update?
No, was it Boba Tea?
No, you dispose of your villagers. They don't leave on their own anymore.
Yeah, right. I'm sure a lot of people would be like, yeah, that's great. I hate this character.
I bet your playership would like boost.
Serial killers in Animal Crossing.
I want to go that
It's far. A hot take. Well, how else would they disappear, Mike?
You get a boat and you ship them off. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I was thinking that Gladys could be sautéed.
Because you gotta make games a little bit more realistic too, like the Red Dead Redemptions of the world.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think we touched a little bit about this at some point.
We probably did.
Going hardcore.
That was weeks ago.
Yeah. So, video game integrity. So, Mike, what do you think it is to be a gamer?
Do I even know anymore? I mean, how often do I play video games?
Yeah, how often do you play video games? Play more often than I do, you jerk.
Well, I think with me over time, I mean my taste certainly has changed. So back in when I was in school, when I was in high school and college, I was more into those hardcore games that get all the accolades and are the real games that you're a gamer if you play. And now I find myself playing a lot more indie games, a lot more shorter campaigns. I just jumped into the game Omno, it's called. It was made by one guy over the last 5 years or so, I think. It's only a 4 hour campaign. It's a little indie title, but it's a ton of fun. So I kind of like my taste in music. I like a little bit of everything. I don't think there's any limitations to it unless you play Candy Crush.
Hey, look, that's legitimate.
I
I
will
think that
die on
is.
that hill. Candy Crush
So,
is not a
yeah.
real game.
Okay. All right. We're going to have a throwdown. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later, I think. Because we have a couple, a couple landmarks of what true gamers, quotes, consider like the marks of a true game or what makes a true game. So, do you want to dive into that? I mean, we can look into these other questions that I have, these burning questions I have later.
So what do you want me to dive into?
So let's go. We have a couple of ideas of what people might construe as hallmarks of good games. So I made a small list here. We have graphics, difficulty, length, hours put in, subject matter, system slash mode of play.
Okay.
So we're looking at these points, and a lot of the time, if a lot of people are considered not true gamers if these don't hit the mark. So integrity is basically like, it has to be this in order to be good or considered legitimate.
I just
Sort of like
I just
Oscar bait.
yeah. That actually ties in with what I was about to say. I just looked into the game of the year the last 5 years or so since they started doing the video game awards. Every year but one falls into that real gamer type of game. The winner for game of the year. So 2020 we got The Last of Us Part 2. Last year we got probably the most
2000.
difficult game on the list. Or 2019 the most difficult game on the list. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which nobody even completed because of how ridiculously hard it is. Year before that, we got God of War. Year before that, 2016 was the one exception with Overwatch, which is for multiplayer. The runner-up for that was probably Uncharted 4, though. Let's be honest. The year before that, The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt, and the year before that was Dragon Age Inquisition. I missed one. I missed 2017, which also falls into the category, which was The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. So yeah, look out! It's open world. It's exploration. It's you creating your own story.
I don't know. I wouldn't really consider God of War an open world game. It's more linear.
No. Legend of
There's
Zelda: Breath of
there's
the Wild. I was talking about.
Yeah, that's open world, but I feel like it falls into the category. Well, I mean, you can have all these aspects. Like you have good graphics, a special length of like a part of difficulty, length, the hours put in that you put into it yourself, subject matter. It can have all these things and be a good game, but that doesn't mean it's the only game. You know what I mean? And it's not like if you don't play these games, you're not a true gamer. I mean, different strokes for different folks, right?
Definitely.
So, let's talk about the hallmark of each of these categories. And I have a couple like little questions in between so we can branch off and get a little discussy
So
when it
what's
comes to all these
first?
things. So we'll talk about number one, which is the graphics. Graphics is always a really hot button topic when you talk about game integrity. I feel like PlayStation fans really hit this one home, and PC players, because frames per second and 4K and all that stuff is super super important to everybody. Realism and all that sort of
I
they
think
like
that's
all that.
more so the elitist in any category because with last generation PlayStation 4 they had higher pixels and all that, and PC you have these top end graphic cards. They could outperform any console that exists. So it's a giant dick measuring contest, and they could say that they have the strongest specs or the most powerful whatever, but it's there's more to that. I don't think I actually think out of everything in this list, I think graphics is the least important in terms of the get good culture. I mean,
Ah,
you look at how many people. I mean, Breath of the Wild that doesn't have the best graphics. Art style is fantastic, which might tie into graphics, depending on how you look
Well,
at it.
they, you know how they want the 4K on the Nintendo Switch, then the Switch Pro
Who
that is
doesn't want
never
that
coming
though?
out. Well, yeah,
Hades, again, another one that was like highly regarded. I would have loved to see Hades get Game of the Year last year over Last of Us Part 2. Animal Crossing was another one that was nominated for that, but a lot of people will say people that play Animal Crossings aren't real gamers, so can't really consider that. But I don't think I don't think graphics are as important when it comes to gatekeeping, at least.
well, when you mentioned all those, best game of the year, they're all very similar as far as graphics are concerned. They have the crisp graphics of The Last of Us Part 2, and then what was the other one? You have
The Witcher
Sekiro,
3, Dragon Age,
Witcher 3.
Inquisition,
Yeah,
God
all
of
of them
War,
are like
Sekiro, they're all
lifelike
phenomenally.
graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, maybe not lifelike situations. I mean, you're not going to see Geralt unless you have Netflix. Yay.
Yeah, the ultra realism with the graphics.
Yeah, like where they're beautiful games. They're great, but it
Hold
doesn't
on.
necessarily mean it's going to be a good game if it has those good graphics.
2017, Legend of Zelda won Game of the Year
Mhm.
over Super Mario Odyssey.
All right, so I can see why, but a lot don't don't
Mario
love
Odyssey,
Super Mario Odyssey. I
everybody
love
loves
Super
it.
Mario Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey was better.
I agree. I agree, and I don't care if I get hate for that. But Breath of the Wild, I really love Zelda. It's my favorite series of all time. I'm a Zelda fan. I was born with Zelda. I'd like to say it. 1986, and it came out in February 1986, and I've loved it since I laid eyes on it, and I played it so much, every single game. And I just had such a hard time getting into Breath of the Wild. Not necessarily because it didn't suit my lifestyle at the time, because when it came out, I did not have any kids. So I
We have no
tried to
excuses.
play it. No, I had it on the Wii U. I had the Wii U, and I got it on the Switch. But it was just it didn't. It was beautiful. It had a lot of stuff to it, but it just didn't have the heart. And I don't know.
But that
There's
won't
something
stop
about
Sarah
it.
from buying the next one day one.
No, it
She's a
won't.
Zelda fangirl through and through. So
Well, I'm the chump that's like, oh, Skyward Sword HD release. Okay, yeah, please, I'll buy it full price, and
oh
the amiibo,
yeah,
and the
there's an
Switch.
amiibo I could spend $30 on. Let's do it.
Oh, and
Look at these
Joy-Cons.
controllers.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
put
that
Zelda
didn't
on it.
stop me.
You got Sarah's money.
Yeah, except for the Game & Watch. I already have like 16 copies of, Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. I'm not going to get
Hmm.
that.
We'll
So,
see.
but anyway, but Breath of the Wild was one of the is praised for its graphics and the art design and everything around it. But like you said, the more cartoony Mario Odyssey had some amazing platforming,
I love the
and it
graphics in
was
Super Mario Odyssey. I love what they did with it.
it's so good. It's so shiny. But and like a lot of these games don't necessarily have universal appeal as far as graphics concerned. I mean, there a lot of games like that. I mean, I'm just glad that Call of Duty isn't the one. Or like Assassin's Creed, because I feel like a lot of that at this point, though, they have those like
What, to win
a
Game
lot of
of
the
the Year?
game. Yeah, I feel like when they pour a lot of money into the graphics and they don't work as well when they're trying to get it to be as realistic as possible, and then you end up with something like Cyberpunk, or what was the Assassin's Creed with is the Sons of Liberty,
You're
the
thinking
one
of
where
Metal
you
Gear Solid. That was Sons of Liberty, I think.
the one there's one where their faces you couldn't see their faces in Assassin's Creed.
I don't know. It might have been Unity. It might have been Syndicate. It was one of them. Probably Syndicate, because Syndicate, I think, or Unity. One of those two are the ones that had a billion issues and never should have released. Eventually, they had to do an
Yeah,
update for that game that cut out half the NPCs to make it even run properly.
wow. I mean, it just seems that at that point, like,
I think Assassin's Creed games, if they didn't go so big and if they cut out so much of the fluff that they add to those games, who knows? I think they'd be in the running at least a nominee for Game of the Year if they cut out all
well,
the
we'll talk
repetitive
about
quests.
yeah, we'll talk about adding stuff that doesn't belong.
We gotta be nicer to Ubisoft, don't we? We
No.
really every single episode we rip on them hard. They deserve it,
Well,
but every single episode.
well, okay, so graphics, I feel like okay, so what's one of your favorite games that doesn't necessarily have like the most cutting edge graphics?
Man, so if you say what it is for you, because I'm looking through my favorites
Well,
on
I
my
feel like
list, and most of mine
I was
actually do have great graphics. Because you look at Jedi Fallen Order, Hitman 3 this year, Control, Splinter Cell was great when it came out, Hellblade, Ori and the Blind Forest, and the game Inside,
Ooh, those are good. Both good games.
both indie
I
games.
mean, if you look at my list, it's all My list is probably going to be all games that are on Nintendo. No, I'm kidding. You'll like look, I'm playing Octopath Traveler. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great. Also pixel graphics,
Just bought
I
Stardew
mean the
Valley yesterday.
yes, I did. And it reminds me a lot of the graphic style like I said, it reminds me of Fox Xanadu.
Bold statement right here.
What?
I'm going on record. You're gonna put more hours in the end into Stardew Valley than Animal Crossing.
Well, that's a hefty bet to put in there because I put over 200 hours in Animal
And
Crossing.
I'm going to stand by that statement. When all is said and by
Oh,
the end of next year, you will have more hours in Stardew Valley, which you haven't even touched yet, and I never played myself, in Stardew Valley than Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing New Horizons or Animal Crossing New Leaf?
Whatever the newest one was. New Horizons?
New Horizons. I feel like New Leaf had so much more, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so graphics. I mean, I feel like they're the least important thing of a game, but I feel like it's a pissing contest when they're brought up into the like into the discussion.
Yeah. So what are your favorite games? Some of your favorite games? You made me tell me
Well,
mine, or tell
well,
the
my
crew mine.
well, you were saying most of your favorite ones that you beat recently. So I haven't really beat a lot of games recently.
Inside
The
and
most recent
Ori
game I
fall in there.
well, I beat Pokemon Snap the most recently, so that's a very pretty game. Very, very pretty game. I love it. You feel like you are in the field with the Pokemon
I still think they
and
should have used
underwater with the
their little
Pokemon.
VR cardboard thing as an option for that
Yeah,
game.
but people would say that's not really a game. It's basically a photo sim.
But
Mario Odyssey is one of my favorites. Ocarina of Time Forever is my goat. Oh gosh, like I said, Octopath Traveler. Oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought that was pretty, but I also enjoy Final Fantasy VII the original with the old boxy non good graphics.
ooh,
Back in the day, that was like huge.
you brought up Final Fantasy VII. Now, this is a contention point that we don't have on our list here, but it brings up an interesting point. What about the crowd for Final Fantasy VII that hated the fact that they made any changes to the story at all, and they don't believe that killed the integrity of Final Fantasy VII, adding stuff, changing the ending, because
Well, it's
that's.
not a remaster, it's a remake.
Mhm.
It's called Final Fantasy VII Remake. So they're going to change some things.
I
And
agree.
I
I
don't care.
completely agree with you.
Like if they want to like that's if they wanted a remaster, if they wanted new graphics. I think there was a remaster of at some point to make the graphics a little less jarring. And there's mods that exist that you can fix the characters. If they want to go back and do that, I feel like they could do that and redo the original. But I feel like it would be more gangbusters if they did that after they released the last section of Final Fantasy VII Remake. If they then they can re-release the original, and the original still exists and it's everywhere. So it's not like you don't have access to it. It's not like Final Fantasy 6, but it's really hard to find unless you want to play it on mobile. Ah,
Don't forget you have
that's my
to
favorite one.
add that to your playlist, the DLC for 7.
Oh yeah, no, it's on there. I have Integrate on there. And I wanted to replay it on PlayStation 5 because I want to replay it on the PlayStation 5 because I love it. I think that's a good point though. As far as like purists, we'll talk about purists too. I feel like that's another thing. Because I feel like a lot of the time I'm a Zelda purist, and me not liking the Breath of the Wild kind of solidifies that. Though I understand why people enjoy that game.
I don't think there could be a such thing as a Zelda purist because
Oh
they
yeah,
they've
you.
they've always every single generation it feels like they make some kind of major change to how the game works. Look at the original Zeldas, how they played out, and then look at how it was in the Nintendo 64 days, and now look what they did with Breath of the
Well, yeah,
Wild.
change his name in the game as far as Zelda's concerned, but like when the formula that was established in Ocarina of Time and arguably in Link to the Past was sort of like getting stale in I guess a lot of people's minds. However, I never really thought it was stale, but Skyward Sword played with a lot of different things, but what they didn't play with was the narrative style, and they played with the motion controls, they played with different mechanics as far as items are concerned. They played with stamina bars, like before even Breath of the Wild they have a stamina bar in Skyward Sword, and climbing mechanics and all that sort of jazz. The last couple Zeldas, I feel like Zelda Wind Waker and Zelda and Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild had a lot of area to explore, but not a lot of substance. It's like there's a lot of area, but it's kind of empty.
Hmm.
And Breath of the Wild also left a couple other. There's a couple other things I didn't like about it, but
You think it bit
like
off
I
more
said,
than it
Zelda.
could chew?
Yeah, but a lot of people love it, and I understand because it's not necessarily. It's a huge change, and I can understand people loving it because a lot of the time when you have a game that splits the fan base, there's a hardcore fans that think it has to be one way, and then there's the fans are like, yeah, I'm up for change, this is great,
Hmm.
and then there's the blind apologists that are like, no, nothing's wrong with this game, everything about Zelda is perfect, everything that Nintendo does is great.
You saying everything is awesome?
Everything is awesome. Do not change Zelda. It is super awesome. But no, I'm kind of like in the middle where I love Zelda. I do. I really do. But there's flaws in Breath of the Wild and there's flaws in the old style. It was getting kind of stale. I feel like they're trying to make the world bigger and bigger and bigger, but there's nothing to fill in that world. And the style of game Zelda is, it constantly is changing, but it's always had that, like, it has exploration,
Hmm.
it has key points that you have to hit. They're a little bit linear, but not linear. They give you the ability to kind of explore and do things as you like. Like in Link to the Past, you could do certain dungeons you have to do in order, but in the second half of the game, you could do them in any order you want.
Yeah.
So, as far as that's concerned, like you've always had a little bit of variety, and I feel like Ocarina and Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword were a little bit more linear,
Hmm.
and Breath of the Wild kind of just took it and threw it all out the window and be like, you could do it in whatever order you want. You could go right to clam it again and stab it in the face. Um, I do like that, but at the same time, there was so much openness that I feel like it needed a little bit more direction. I feel like with Breath of the Wild 2, they might be able to marry those two things together.
I hope so. Do they have a release date for it yet? Like a release
Nah, it
year?
said 2022,
Okay, so we're looking at
I believe.
next Christmas, probably next holiday.
I think they said early 2022.
So we're looking
Let
at
me
a
just
delay
do a
till
quick
next holiday.
release date. Let's see here. It says 2022. But a lot of Zelda games usually release in the front of the year, usually February, March.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. I just hope that it. I mean,
You
with
have
the
way too many games
re-release,
before then. You can't buy it at release. You're gonna have to wait a few
you
months.
shut your whore mouth. You shut your whore mouth. I am buying it on release date. Anyway, but I feel like with the re-release of Skyward Sword and the distance between Breath of the Wild, a lot of players that got to play both are like, huh, I miss a lot of the stuff that was in the original Zelda. And at the same time, they want maybe some of the changes for Breath of the Wild to stay. And I'm not against that. I figured that they could just take the two things that work for both of them and just smash them together into this great, great, awesome game.
Hopefully with motion controls.
No, never. Get rid of them. All right, so graphics out of the way and tangent about Zelda out of the way. Let's talk about difficulty in games.
That seems to be one of the most common themes that we see is games like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Sekiro, however you say that one.
Shadows die
Yes, games that
twice.
are very, very forgiving. Roguelikes. What's that new one?
You say
Returnal.
forgiving or unforgiving? Returnal. Oh, yeah. Okay, so
Hades is another one that it's
roguelites and stuff like that.
yeah. So in regards to difficulty, in Hades there's a mode called God Mode. Perfect title for that, where you're not invincible like the typical God Mode, but the way it works is you can take another. I think it's another 20% of armor like protection or whatever like that from the get-go. So the enemies don't have less health, but you could take more damage. So with that game, when you die, you have to go back to a certain section and run through it again. That's really, really hard for someone like me to find the time for. So there's that God mode, and every single time you die when you have God mode enabled, that I think it goes up 1% of your damage reduction or whatever the case may be, where you could go up to, if you die enough times on God mode, you're up to 80% invincibility. So again, I'm probably going to play with that because I want the experience, but I still want the story. When I was reading on it, though, I see all the comments saying the only way to play it is via the regular mode. That's all part of the experience. Is dying and going back to this area and learning more stuff on the way. And if you play it with God mode enabled, you're just chipping yourself the experience. And that's not the way that it's intended to play. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, that only has one game mode. That doesn't have the ability to change difficulty. It was something they got a little bit of backlash for, but that's the artist's intent to play a certain way and they don't want to compromise their vision, which again, I'm all for them having their own vision and employing it. But for if there's different difficulty modes, I think Doom has 5 or 6. That's the developers and the publisher's decision. And if it's in the game, that's any of those are an option to enjoy the game on those difficulties. I don't care who you are. In one mode doesn't fit everybody's scenario, everybody's case.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody is, well, they say get good. Yeah. I'm going to sit, I have 2 kids and, a full-time job, and I barely have enough time during the day to play some games. I am not going to go and spend, friggin' 10 hours on a game, die, and then have to start all over again. I'm sorry. I don't have that kind of time to put into a game. But I guess that's not quote unquote the game for me, and I should just quote unquote get good. But that's not necessarily a good way to sell video games, in my opinion. Because if you want more a broader audience, you want more people to kind of buy your game and play your game. You want them to buy it because it's interesting and you want to make money off of it. You want more people to get those games so that later on they will remember you and say, hey, this developer is really good. They made this game. I'm going to buy their next game. The easiest way to alienate an audience is by not having that accessibility to everybody.
Accessibility is a good thing. Giving more people the opportunity to play video games is never a bad thing.
Oh, no, it's not. I mean, and to be quite honest, a lot of when I was younger, I was able to play through these games, no problem. I used to play the Nintendo hard games and get through those somehow. I don't know how. And I would get through them, but I would have full afternoons where I could just sit there and play.
I wasn't around back then, so I can't speak to that.
No, I would sit around for hours and play video games because I had the time. When you're, 10, 12, 14, 17, even when you're in your college years, you have less time, or you have more time, as you grow older and you have responsibilities, as Tommy Pickles would say. Responsibilities.
Let's pull it out of the rabbit hat.
Yeah, no, what?
Where did that come from?
I saw a picture of Tommy Pickles.
So that wasn't just completely random?
No. Oh. It was just me screwing up my words too. Yeah, when you have more responsibilities, sometimes you can't quote unquote get good, and you only have so many hours within the day. Like I've been playing Octopath Traveler for
84
months
years.
Now. It's been 84 years. I already put 70 hours into the game. And it's not like I'm dying or having a tough time with it. I'm actually breezing through it. I'm almost through chapter 3 with all of my characters, but I'm playing it like I'm grinding when I need to grind. I'm exploring all the areas, hitting all the, hidden dungeons and stuff like that. I'm really trying to enjoy every part of this game. And that's my choice to play this game. Yeah. And I'm not able to play anything else. But at the same time, if I wanted to, I know how I can cut the difficulty if it's getting too hard. Like there's certain areas I can't get to yet. I would love to skip ahead and just grab them and run through it. But that's the type of game this is. It's a slow game. It's a slow burn. And I'm used to that, and that's fine. That's what RPGs are for. I'm not necessarily sure there is a story mode you can go through on Octopath Traveler. I didn't even think about it.
But I know that there's doing all the side quests. I don't know if there are side quests, but
yeah, you could avoid doing all the side quests, and you could just go
just stick to the main story beats.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and you could beat the game. But I want to enjoy the side quests and stuff like that. I want to see how OP I can make my characters.
As a true gamer would.
But I don't blame anybody else for wanting to mainstream that. I mean, grinding's not for everybody, but that's the type of game I really enjoy. But if I were going to jump into a game like in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you have the option to play in classic mode. You have hero mode, or not, I don't know if it's hero mode, but there's several different modes where you could play it that's easier, or you could play it on harder mode, and there's that leveled difficulty. And I think that's fine. You could play the game and experience the game, and I like the idea that if you don't have a lot of time and you don't want to deal with the bullshit of dying against a boss a million times. I'm not saying that cheeses the game though, because I mean, if you play it on an easier mode, that doesn't necessarily make it easy, super easy. Like, here's an example. Yoshi's Crafted World. Easy mode is hella easy. Like, you cannot die.
No matter how hard you try.
No.
Yoshi's not dying.
If you die on easy mode in Yoshi's Island, it's because you do not know the first thing about platforming, or you are unconscious and trying to play.
Now, is that the mode where if you fall off the edge, he literally just bounces up and down?
Yep.
And flies?
Like, you can get killed by monsters and stuff like that, but you'd have to, like, walk directly into the monsters.
Do you think Luke could beat a level of that game. Just turned 3.
Maybe he might be able to, and that's basically the type of game it's supposed to be. And even on regular mode, it's not that hard. It's an easy game, but that's a nice introductory for people who are getting into platformers. It's not for hardcore gamers, but hardcore gamers can play it if they want something a little bit more casual. It's not like
I
saying
think you're
that
gonna say if
you
they want
can't
something to
play
bitch
this.
about.
Yeah, I could also bitch about this should have a super hard mode. Why? It's a kids game. Now, as far as Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, it's meant to be hard. Now, and the developers, like you said, had a vision and they didn't put any other modes. However, in that aspect, they're not going to get they're probably not going to get the people who might want to casually play through it and get the story as part of it. So they miss out on that revenue. Like
I know a lot
you
of people
can't
that
make a
love
kid.
those type of games that didn't even finish it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's kind of like a fine line, but it's not like saying that you have to be a good gamer in order you have to play it on the hardest mode ever. Why? What does that do? I mean, it makes like there is like I said Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country. That was a really hard game when it came out. It's difficult platforming, but the on the re-release for the Switch, they added a funky mode, which is essentially easy and medium, where you can play as Donkey Kong but with more hearts, or you can play as Funky Kong with more hearts and a couple little extras. You can't get partners in the game, but you can get through areas a little bit easier. Still, it's not an easy game, even with Funky, and it provides some sort of balance. So it doesn't completely cheese the game if you decide to get Funky Kong. You can't just like bounce through the level.
You can't cheese the game if you decide to get funky.
Yeah, exactly. So if I feel like in the sake of time, a lot of like I enjoy games as I play them. I like to experience the stories, and if I get stuck on an area, I might put the game down and not come back to it. So, and then that's not necessarily the best thing. I want to experience a game. I want to finish a game, but if it's so difficult that I can't get through it, I'm not gonna play it. I might not even buy it if I hear that it's like soul crushingly difficult. I might be like, hey, yeah, not for me, and that's fine. But if it's a games that I really want to know the story to, I guess I can download the YouTube videos and watch some idiot talk about
And then you
it.
have people like me who don't know when to stop, when something's
Hmm.
beating the crap out of me. And what I end up doing is I play through that part and I waste 2 or 3 hours trying to get through that part. And then I stop
Yeah, and
playing, never to play it again.
yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're playing a difficult area and it takes you a couple shots to get through it, and you learn from it, and that's fine. That's a whole genre of video games. But at the same time, it could be so soul crushing to not, and like I don't want it to be easy, but I don't want it to be so hard that it takes up hours of my time, which I could be doing other things with. And that's pretty much at one point where I'm like, this is my sixth attempt at this boss battle. And in RPGs, it's easy because if you get stuck in this situation, you can go, okay, I'm not ready for this battle. I'm going to take a step back and go grind for a little bit. But in other types of games, you don't always have that opportunity. You can't go back and get better, like, improve or in like you, oh, it
That's
just
why I'm a big fan
frustrates
of being
me.
able to change difficulty mid game because sometimes there are some parts in the game that are more difficult than others, and if you need to pop on a lower difficulty just for a certain boss battle, if you give it a go and it's obviously something you're going to be stuck at for a while, tone it down just for that fight and then put it back on afterwards. I've done it in the past, and I'm probably going to do it again. That's going to be how I probably start Hades when it launches on Xbox in a couple weeks, but what's going to end up happening in the end is I'm going to put it on God mode permanently. You and I both know that.
Oh yeah. But I don't see a problem with that. I mean, that's if you want to experience the game, you experience it in your own time. I mean, if players out there want to experience a game and be constantly frustrated and then waste a lot of hours putting into that and then come out on the end and they feel accomplished because they beat it on the most difficult mode, that's fine. That's somebody else's cup of tea. That doesn't mean you have to force that cup of tea down everybody else's throat.
Now that's a good way to segue into our next topic, which is the length. So this higher
uh,
difficulty, a lot of the times that contributes to the games taking longer to get through. But besides that, then there's just a general Ubisoft are looking at you, where there's a 90-hour game could be condensed down to 30 hours or 40 hours, a tight campaign, but the argument there is, do you need to put in a certain amount of hours for the game to be worth your money? I
So
don't.
this is points 3 and 4. I feel like they kind of marry each other a little bit
Mhm.
because I mean, like I was just saying, I'm playing an RPG that's supposed to be like 60 hours. Um, and when you and sometimes when you buy a game, now, especially now with first party games being so expensive, it's not like they weren't expensive back in the day. Back in the day when SNES was the thing. But it's $70 for a PlayStation 5 game, first party PlayStation 5 game. It's $60 for an Xbox game or a game on the Nintendo Switch. That's not an indie game. And you want to get the most out of your money, but that is it's just like, okay, let's jam all this extra stuff into the game just to make it feel longer, even though it really is just dragging the game out.
Well, I'm gonna refer to Ratchet and Clank, which just came out for the PS5. That was a 70-hour next gen game. It's not a terribly long experience. It has very little replayability to it, but it was still $70. And then you have the game Returnal, which was also a $70 release, but you'll get a lot more time out of it because it's a roguelike. You're going to keep dying and keep going through it again and again until you beat the game, which adds to the length of the game itself. So, and then you have games like we're talking about the $70 stuff. We're seeing more developers, more publishers do it for next gen titles too. Battlefield, what is it, 2042? That's multiplayer only. And that's $70. And a lot of people arguing it's not worth $70 since it doesn't have a single player campaign to it. But if it's one of the most epic multiplayer campaigns ever, I think that's warranted. If it gives you enjoyment, again, that's a subjective thing. I don't think you need to put a certain number of hours into a game to be worth a certain amount of money. But there's so many different ways you could look at it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it like just extending a game for extended sake, like just because it has this or because it's worth this much money, it should have, therefore it should have this. I feel like it could overall hurt a game upon release. I think one of the games that you played was what is it, Spec Ops: The Line?
Yes.
And it was an amazing first person campaign, like a single player campaign, but they shoehorned multiplayer into there and it didn't really fit. But it had that multiplayer.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite war game campaign I've played. That and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Call of Duty 2 was pretty good too, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that killed the reviews. They were forced to add in multiplayer last minute because if it's a shooting game, it has to have online multiplayer. The online multiplayer, I've never played it, but I read that it was terrible. It didn't belong as part of the game. That was meant to be a story-based experience, and the developers were forced to throw multiplayer in there, and that was factored into the reviews of the game. And instead of it being a 8.59 story, it ended up getting in the 70s and probably killing sales. And the reason there is no sequel because the reviews just didn't live. What?
Developers, I have this little secret for everybody. Not every game needs multiplayer. What?
It's the publishers. It's the Activisions. It's the EAs of the world.
Publishers.
Yes.
Publishers.
Listen.
Not every game needs multiplayer.
Sarah's coming.
I'm coming for you. I have a particular set of skills. Most of it involves bitching.
She's also jealous.
I am. Don't kill
the puppy.
Okay. But yeah, seriously, not all games need multiplayer. And
the ASMR podcast.
Yeah. And like you said, not all games need a single player if that's not what their focus is. I mean, I can't imagine Overwatch with a single player. You know what? But if it fits, I'm going to throw this out there. Like Super Smash Brothers, I think Melee had an awesome single player campaign and I loved it. And it has opportunity and I liked how it married all the characters together and you could go through and I liked it. And in the story mode that they did for the latest Super Smash Brothers sucks. So Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
You know what?
All you do is you're on a map. It's like freaking Mario Party, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna walk into this space, and I'm gonna fight this thing. I'm gonna walk into this space, and then fight this thing. No, I preferred.
With in regards to fighting games and stories, I actually really enjoyed the story mode that they had in the old Dead or Alive game back in, I don't know if it was the original or what, back on the original Xbox. So they actually had a story mode baked into that, and it flowed. It was entertaining.
Yeah. Sure.
It was.
All right, so back to length and hours put in. I guess that's like where the completionists come in. I mean, completionism is fun if you're really into that. I know that.
Go complete a Ubisoft game. Get all the collectibles.
No, I feel like a lot of that's fine if people like to complete games to the completest. I mean, you have a game and you want to get the most out of it. I could definitely see the appeal because there's a lot of games that I like to complete to the full, like a lot of RPGs.
When you say complete to the finish, do you mean go and get all the achievements in the game, or just do you mean go explore, take all the side missions, but not where you're so anal that you're going to be going in and making sure to check off every achievement that's in the book, because that's often what completionism is referred to, where you do everything that the developers intended, and there's nothing
It
else to do.
depends because sometimes it depends on the game. If I'm really into a game and I don't want to leave it, I will do the checkbook, go through everything and see if I could do everything. But most of the time, what I'll do is go and do all the side missions. Like trophies, that doesn't really speak to me.
Yeah.
I don't care about trophies. I really don't. I just want to get through the game and see if I can go and do all the side quests, get all the best equipment and that sort of thing. And they do make that really, like, sometimes they can make that really hard. Throwing this back here.
Mhm.
Final Fantasy X has one of the most difficult side quests in the Chocobo race, and then dodging lightning, and like they make it really hard to get these weapons. But you know what the greatest thing about that is? You don't need to get them. You could just not get them. And I didn't, and I beat the game, and I was happy. Does that make me less of a gamer? No, because you don't need it. It's extra. It's extra.
All right,
If you want the
what
extra
about with
difficult.
Wind Waker, watering all the cork trees? Is that
Oh, that was a pain in the butt,
was
but
that a
I
part of the
did
main
that.
story, or was that a side quest?
No, it was a side quest.
Did you do it?
You didn't have to. I did the first time.
Would you consider that something that you have to do if you're playing through the game?
No.
But you did it.
But I did it because I love Zelda. And like I said, I decided to do it. If you want to do it, you could do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. My subsequent trips into the Zelda world, I did not do it. But
I'm just glad you didn't
sometimes I
do it
like to do it.
when you were playing the re-release, the HD version, the remaster.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I want them to bring it to Switch so I can play it on the Switch. I know I have it for I have it for the Wii U,
Not
but
only do
and
we
I have it
have
for
it,
the GameCube.
the Wii U is still set up. It's just a matter of two buttons
Look,
to jump into it.
look.
Look, I'm
I
looking.
don't have to charge. There's no way to charge my Wii U gamepad.
It's always charged. Like, we keep it on the dock.
I know, but I'd have to put it
Excuses.
back on the dock. I can't like
She
just
just
take
wants
it and
to
leave it
throw
laying
more
there.
money at Mrs.
I
Zelda.
do.
Sorry,
I do.
Miss.
But yeah, like Ocarina of Time is one of those things I would do. I would complete everything in it. Like a lot of the Zelda games, I would complete everything. Final Fantasy games, I would like to also complete everything. But if I didn't feel like or if it was too difficult or out of my wavelength, I was meh, don't have to do that. And it's not necessarily less of an experience if you don't do it. I mean, do you need all that stuff? No, but if you want all of that stuff, it's there. I like that it gives you a variety in your game because it changes your strategy and changes how you go through the
With
story
quests like
because you have.
that, I enjoy doing it, but what makes it really feel rewarding is if you get some kind of reward in game that makes it worth it.
Oh
If
yeah.
if you just do it just for the achievement or just to say you did it, it doesn't really leave me with any sort of gratification. Whereas if I get
Yeah.
something that's
I
going to help me
mean,
with the game itself, that's what they
the
do really good with Ghost of Tsushima. Is they have a lot of optional missions and optional quests, but the rewards help with the main story and
yeah,
add
I
value.
mean, I feel like a lot more lately. I feel like there's a lot of, stupid little quests that you don't get anything good for.
Mhm.
I feel like that's another thing that I didn't really care for in the Breath of the Wild, because you go and do all these like quests, and the rewards I feel like weren't as good. Like if you cleared out a camp of enemies, sometimes you would get a weapon as a reward, but weapons break. Who cares? It just made me meh,
Yep.
So, and like, well, like you said, our best friend Ubisoft likes to jam in a whole bunch of quests for the sake of being quests, and when it's the same quests over and over and over and over again, it just feels less like quality content and more like padding.
Yeah, it starts to get fatiguing after that. All right. So the next thing you have on this list here is subject matter, which would consist of genre, settings. Explain what else, if there's anything.
I feel like, yeah, it's on genre and setting, like where it's put. Like I feel like a lot of high fantasy or horror games or post-apocalyptic or war games. I feel like but if like I feel like certain games are considered more games rather than like I'm in a little farm and I'm going to walk around and have my island and
Do
do
farm
that.
things.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do things on my Stardew Valley farm Or I'm going to go and, talk to my neighbors in my on my Animal Crossing New Horizons island.
I'm having a bit of a dilemma myself right now. Is you just bought Stardew Valley?
I
It's
did.
got multiplayer co-op, but it doesn't have crossplay. So if I get it, do I get it for myself on Xbox or Nintendo so we could play together? Because we
But you'd
we
have
have two
you can't.
PlayStations, we have two Xboxes, but we only have one Switch in the
And you
house.
have to get a Switch. You could go get a Switch Lite.
Want
If
to
you
though?
want it.
I,
If
I,
you
I wouldn't
want it.
play it enough. That's the thing.
Well, that's your decision to make, isn't it?
I guess it is.
But anyway, subject matter and genre. I feel like a lot of the areas are really bloated. Like the open world genre I feel like is super bloated. The
Like
overly
with open
realistic
world though, they're heavily very
zombies,
different settings.
zombies,
Zombie
war
Nation.
games.
But
Mm,
like, there's only so much you could do at the same time. Especially when it comes to
yeah,
big publishers, they're going to do the cookie cutter methods that work. The
yeah.
stuff they've been doing, the stuff they won't take many risks. That's why and you've been in the indie kick lately. That's why you're enjoying some of these indies is they're taking the chances that a lot of publishers won't anymore. And I'm hoping that we're seeing a little bit of a renaissance with I know EA is starting to push out games that they don't typically push out, and they're seeing some success. They just announced that there's going to be a Jedi Fallen Order 2, another campaign focused, non-multiplayer and non-transaction driven game that's coming out. So
Yeah.
where were we?
Yeah, I feel
I'm segueing
yeah, no, you're talking about that. That's very important to like what is real games because I mean a lot of people are like, oh, like you said, multiplayer, or they have to be something that's super super hard or something that has very realistic life settings, true to life. I feel like a lot of the video game integrity it doesn't necessarily have to be that, and I feel like a lot of indie games coming out do have something a little special, like something like okay, yeah, one of my favorite games that I played over the last year, it was Rain on Your Parade. And it is ridiculously silly. And it's simple and it's fun. But you know what? I mean, a lot of people are like, that's not a real game, but I love it. I don't
Yeah,
care.
that game I played through the whole thing as well, and it had the charm and the enjoyment and the shenanigans that I was really hoping I would get out of Untitled Goose Game. It was great, and that was also a game that Luke loved to watch.
Hmm.
Cloudy.
He loves Cloudy. Cloudy! I love it. It's so much fun. Like those games, I feel like when you limit your genres and like, well, that's a whole genre in itself, I guess. That's becoming more. I know, like Donut County is like that. Untitled Goose Game, Donut County, Rain on
That
Your
county's a
Parade. They're all
blast
in
too.
that kind of yeah. And like, there's all those life sims. There's like all different kinds of different games that people kind of just brush off aside because they're not gritty. But it doesn't have to be gritty in order to be great, right? I
It
mean, look at
doesn't.
Mario. Mario's not gritty. We already talked about how it wouldn't work.
I,
Robot Chicken.
a lot of my favorite games are fall into that gritty category. So it's
Well, I mean, it's fine. They're games too. I feel like I just don't count out the other games because they're not.
Will of the Wisps. That was one of the most gritty games I've ever played.
It is not. It's beautiful though. It
That
makes me cry a lot.
backstory.
Yeah. If you don't have a heart if you don't cry when you play Ori or Ori and the Will of the Wisp. All right, finally, last but not least, our throwdown system and mode of play. Now, of course, there's the obvious, people are PC Master Race or PlayStation is best or Xbox is best or what's Nintendo doing over there? Hey, we're Nintendo. We're
Nintendo
going
can
to
do
do
no
the weirdest
wrong.
shit. We're going to be doing the weirdest shit and you're going to buy it anyway. This is true.
This is very true.
You love Mario. We've got you now. Anyway, mobile games too are starting to grow.
What games is
But a lot of
huge.
people, yeah, mobile games are huge, and people don't think them. There's, of course, the master, the gatekeepers that think that mobile gaming really isn't gaming.
That's very contentious, and yeah, there's more people that play mobile games than there is console. So
Hey,
if you
it's
just go
right in
by
your hand.
if you go by the pure numbers, mobile gaming
Yeah,
is bigger than console and PC games by far.
yeah. You have your game in your hand at all point in times. You can grab it at any point. I mean, you can carry your Switch wherever you go if you really want to, but it's slightly bigger than a cell phone.
Hmm.
Slightly. But you can play like I usually use it to play quick games like solitaire or spider solitaire or I used to play a lot of Candy Crush. And Mike thinks that Candy Crush isn't really a game.
He
He just
loses a
doesn't like
gamer card.
puzzles.
I love
Look,
puzzles. Puzzle games are some of my favorite games, but I'm talking about
look.
puzzle games, not Candy Crush.
Candy Crush is a puzzle game.
Yeah, without the game, it's just a puzzle.
Yeah, it is. You have to match things and make them connect and then reach a certain
Tetris
point
is a
and
game.
have an
Candy Crush
objective.
is not.
They're both games. Stop. You just don't like Candy Crush.
I
I don't
hate Candy
necessarily
Crush.
like the whole. There's plenty of Candy Crush like games out there. There's tons of them actually. There's a lot of copycats. And if you don't like Candy Crush specifically, you can go find your brand of Candy Crush esque. But what I don't like is of course the mini transactions and stuff like that. They try to get you into playing. They get you stuck, and they're like, oh, you can buy all these boosts and all that stuff. I have never spent a cent on Candy Crush or any other games
Did
that I
you?
played on my mobile.
Did you know that Activision Blizzard owns Candy Crush?
Really? I did
Yes.
not.
So therefore, you should boycott Candy Crush because it's
I
not a
haven't played
game.
Candy Crush. I haven't played Candy Crush in years. I was playing the Harry Potter like Candy Crush, whatever that is.
I thought it was Zynga that owned it, and I just
That
looked it up.
Zynga, I thought Zynga, or I don't know. I don't.
Unless they
You
did
know,
own it and sell or something. I have no idea, but
they
it's.
probably did. I don't like I said. I don't really. I get bored of those games after I reach a certain level, and I'm like, okay, I'm stuck in this area. I'm not buying anything into this game, so
But
I
if you
quit.
really like it, you should put your money into it and support the devs. If they're not getting a penny from you. Wait, does that game have ads?
Yes.
Okay, so they are getting something either way.
Yeah, so a lot of these games have ads, and they're annoying. And
But
I
they
will
got to
just
they got to make money somehow. They can't just give the
yeah,
game away
I'm
for
okay
free.
with them making money, and if they're giving it away for free, I just don't like they're like, "Hey, you can buy these boosts if you're stuck," and I'm like, "No, I'm not buying these boosts because I don't want to spend money. I will click on your ads and I will watch the ads to get free boosts, but I will not actually go through and purchase them." That's how I roll. But it's still games. Hey,
I put way too much money in the Rocket League, so I can't say a thing.
yep. So there. But
Not anymore though.
yeah, sure. Okay, so that's like I feel like we need to break this one up into parts and maybe revisit game integrity at some point. But I feel like we covered all of the areas. But here's the bottom line: you play a game, you're a gamer, and it doesn't matter which difficulty or what kind of games you're into or what you complete them. I feel like it's just a way for people to belittle others and put them in a box,
Yeah,
just to
just
feel
gotta make yourself
superior.
feel superior.
Yeah. I mean, have fun. Can't we just have fun? Where's Reggie?
Ooh, he's out gallivanting on his with this boat company now or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well,
Reggie's the
that's
man.
one thing. A lot of Nintendo games are like stupid fun.
Nintendo
Like
should just
they
rename
have.
itself to Reggie. The
He's not a
Reggie
part of
Company.
Nintendo
It
anymore.
doesn't matter.
We
Reggie
got
is
Bowser
Nintendo.
now. We have Bowser.
You want to know
Like
when
you
Nintendo
can't.
turned bad and started just milking the customers? When Bowser was introduced.
I kind of did that. I
Seriously,
mean,
I seriously think they just hired him because of his name.
I think so too.
You don't.
Anyway,
That's not a coincidence. It can't be.
all right, so let's break it down really quick at the end because, like we always do, we want to say what we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And you go first. What are we playing by ourselves?
Flight Sim dropped last week for Xbox, and I played it for about 20 minutes on PC. But when I'm working all day, I don't want to sit at the PC anymore. If I like to play my video games from the couch, so I'm more of a console gamer. But Flight Sim, which I'm really enjoying it, I thought it was going to be too simmy for me, but it's peaceful, it's relaxing. You want to talk about graphics? That game's got the best graphics I've ever seen. Omno, which we talked about a little bit, so that's on Game Pass. I gave it a shot. We played 2 levels. Reese, our littlest, who's not even 1 yet, absolutely loved watching it, so I played a level for him and he got a kick out of it. I played Rocket League this last week. I jumped in and I actually saw that I used to love Rocket League. I've put more hours in Rocket League than Sarah has in Animal Crossing.
Liar.
I bet you I have. And I saw that the season 3 or whatever is ending in a week, and I only need to win maybe about 9 or 10 more games to get the diamond awards. So I'm getting my diamond awards. So I'm gonna do that by the end of the week. And I jumped into another game on Game Pass, played a little bit of it, maybe about 45 minutes or an hour of the Ascent, which I was also enjoying. So all 4 of these games I'm probably going to stick with and play over the next few weeks until Psychonauts drops, unless I get the courage or the time to jump into Resident Evil Village, but I don't really want to get lost into a story game right now.
All right, so I am still playing Octopath Traveler forever.
But
I
there's
am
more.
almost. Yeah, I actually played some other games, and because I had to review it, I was playing Donkey Kong Country Tropic Freeze for the Nintendo Switch, which reminded me how much I love those games and how much I hate those games. Yay! So hard, but so good. That's like the type of difficulty I like, where it's like challenging, but when you finally beat it, it's not so challenging that you can't, and it's forgiving in other areas, it has checkpoints and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Not a lot of people like a lot of people like platformers, but they don't make them like they used to. But this one's kind of like they used to. It was really fun. And of course, I picked up Skyward Sword as I had to do an editorial at work. And I got to enjoy that for a little bit. Even though the controls are still wonky, it's much better than it
I have a
was.
theory that you volunteered an editorial for Skyward Sword just to force yourself to jump into another game.
Just to have it.
Is my
So I had
theory correct?
So I talked to no, I thought of it after the fact. I'm like, I probably should play this before I write my editorial. So I can have a personal experience rather than going off what other people say. So yeah, I like it a lot more, but it's still wonky.
And together?
Oh, we played Minecraft Dungeons! Yay!
That was part of our anniversary day.
Ooh! It's August. You know what that means?
Psychonauts 2.
No. It means that all you can eat DLC is coming out. Yay! There's gonna be tea and cake. Not like you couldn't make cakes before, but yay! I'm so excited.
We could play that once we beat the Halo campaigns.
No, we're gonna play that first.
No.
We gotta beat the pirate ships.
Infinite is coming.
Look, birthday!
If you don't beat Infinite,
Overcooked birthday!
If we don't beat the Halo games before Infinite comes out, I'm playing that one solo. I'm gonna replace you. I'll find another friend. You don't make friends when you have kids.
No, I was gonna say you don't make friends when you're an adult.
You don't want friends with salad.
You don't want friends with salad. You don't want friends with... Okay, and you're playing Amanu for Reese. I could have sworn you were playing something for Luke, though he did ask for Psychonauts.
Yeah, he just asked for Psychonauts. He loves the Psychonauts.
Did you play Fall Guys for him?
Not recently. Not that I'm aware of. Uh-oh. I'm good.
All right, well. Uh-oh. What's going on there?
I just got an email. For my Google Plus profile litigation, I guess there was a class action suit for Google, and this is breaking news. I got $2.15 as part of it.
Oh my God, $2.15. So we can quit our jobs and podcast for reals forever.
This might be the last podcast. I might be retiring. This might be it for me. $2.15.
15 cents.
That's amazing.
That's.
I'm gonna invest it back in the show. It's all about you guys.
That's what dreams are made of.
Alrighty.
All right. So we'll cover more about video game immersion. I'm sure, not immersion, integrity in the future. Well, yeah. Hey, you know what's funny? We were watching G4 and Adam Sessler talked about Get Good as well. So I thought that was pretty funny.
And he stole our topic.
Ties into what we're talking. Yeah, he did.
We planned it first. We had it planned for weeks, and
I
know his
kids,
life.
So
he didn't have it planned for weeks. That was just something that they saw we were doing, and they just stole our idea. So
no, he's awesome.
Thanks, Sessler.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yes. Anyway, so we'll catch you next week. We'll talk about something else, hopefully.
Happy gaming. Stay alive.
Happy gaming. Yes. Bye.
Bye.